Hi, my name is Erin Moriarty, and I am kind of obsessed with finding new music. I am always looking to find small artists, big artists, people that I've never found before, and even songs from artists that I'm familiar with where the song itself isn't necessarily very popular. Because of that, I make a playlist almost every month because I never want to lose track of any song that I discover that I'm really have affinity for. And depending on the music trends at the time, I would say that anywhere between 10 and 100 songs are added to that playlist a month, and then throughout the month, or even maybe after the month, I will add those songs to various playlists for moods or themes or when I'm trying to feel catharsis or whatever I'm trying to do. And a lot of my friends give me crap because when a new artist pops up, I'm like, oh yeah, they're really great, I've been listening to them for a while. And then they're like, wait, what do you mean you've been listening to her for a while? So I would like to get better about sharing my music, and I would like to think that I have pretty eclectic tastes, and I would like to think that I have pretty decent tastes too, but I know that that's all subjective. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. Just be respectful down in the comments below. These are the songs of June 24 that I thought were worth note. Holding On by Frances Whitney. If you are even tangentially in my friend circle right now, you're probably already aware of Frances Whitney. My friend Mile High Brendan, who is a Swiftie TikToker, he had found her on TikTok Live one night and became immediately obsessed with her music. He has shared her music a lot with the rest of the friend circle as well, and because there was so much other stuff going on, initially I didn't necessarily pick up her music because I could tell by the first song that I heard that I was going to become obsessed with her and I was going to need to make videos about her. And I think that this is probably the first of many times you're going to hear about Frances Whitney, but I wasn't ready to dive down the hole now. I wasn't ready, wow. I wasn't ready to dive down the rabbit hole yet, so I held off on really listening to her music. So that's why there are a couple of tracks from her on the June playlists. The first one being Holding On. Now my Swifties, I think, are absolutely gonna love Frances Whitney, especially if you're like a Swiftie who also loves Brandi Carlile. There's a very similar type of singer-songwriter vibe. She has a very kind of country twang to her voice. She can do a lot of really impressive things with her voice. I love that we're liking texture in voices again, like Chappell Roan adding yodeling and such. Things that can be looked down upon. In the auto-tune era, there's often this need to make vocals robotic, mechanical, perfect. And I love that especially younger music fans are embracing vocalists that actually have interesting texture and unique dynamics to their voices again. And just Frances Whitney can do really remarkable things with her voice, and that's one of the reasons that I like her. She's also a very small artist starting out. I think she's at maybe 30,000 listeners a month. I'm not really sure about the statistics on Spotify, so I may be talking completely out my bum right now. But she's very small. She gets on TikTok Live very often. She talks to her fans very often. I think that she's definitely an artist that is going to blow up. It is not me that thinks this. There have been actual music writer people that are professionally renowned for their opinion who have noticed her as well. I think that this is a great opportunity for people to get in on the ground level on an artist who, maybe she's not going to be the next Taylor Swift, but I think she definitely has potential to be maybe the next Brandi Carlile, someone in that realm. Daddy, Wish You Were Mine. This is one of my own personal TikTok finds. I found one of their videos and I just fell in love with the song. One of the things that I really love about their music is the way they blend the vocal harmonies together. I'm really big into, you're gonna notice, I really like voices that are interesting, that are unique, that have a little bit of texture to them. I love when vocalists will layer their vocals over themselves to make interesting harmonies with themselves, and I love when you can tell a vocalist is really good at that, in their brain. It's their special interest or whatever, and I feel like Frances Whitney and Daddy, admittedly, they are very small. I think even smaller than Frances Whitney at this point in time. So I do admit Daddy, like a couple of other artists on this list, is an artist that I don't know a tremendous amount about because they are still so small. I only know a couple of songs by them, and I know that I like them, but I'm very interested in learning more, and I'm hoping that if I make a video about some of these small bands, that they'll get bigger, and then I'll learn more about them, and I'll get more songs from them, and that'll make me happy too. I just love the way this song builds up to just such an impressive crescendo of harmonies at the end. It's remarkable. I love it.
I imagine what I don't know in the stories you tell when you're not at home.
Hey You by Blu DeTiger. You know what, I'm gonna admit, I'm not even entirely sure that I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. I know her first name is Blue because she said in a couple interviews. So I know about this song because she had posted on TikTok. Me and Chapel Roan made the sexy fun banger, Happy Pride. It is a sexy fun banger, I will admit that. And you can definitely hear the hallmarks of Chapel style all over it. It's a great fun song. I immediately added it to my Country Vibes Without the R playlist. Yes, I'm trying to get around the you-know-what with the you-know-who. Blue is just a really good example of how I kind of piggyback across artists. I will find an artist that I like, I will follow them, I will look at their stories, and if they have a song that they mention, I will add it to a playlist. I follow several playlists on Spotify that are just like songs Taylor Swift has liked over the years, or actually one of the playlists is every song that she's ever mentioned, and I found so much good music that way. So as soon as I saw that Chapel Roan was associated with it, I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to check her out too, obviously.
I'm flirty, and I'm 30 under 30. I got 30 new looks, getting down and getting dirty, so sporty, pulling up to every party.
Unsweetened Lemonade by Amélie Farren. The lyrics on this are biting. If the thing that you like about Taylor Swift's music is that it gives you ammunition to throw at your ex when you're arguing because you can just grab a line out of All Too Well 10-minute version and rewrite it a little bit and spit it out of them, yeah, I think you're gonna like her music. She's fairly small on TikTok. I think she's only got like 100,000 followers. And I know some people are gonna laugh and say that some of these artists are not as fairly small as I say they are. And I mean fairly small in terms of like people like Chapel Roan, people that have already kind of made a break into the public scene. Like, I do understand that Amelie has a song that's got 5 million streams on Spotify and that she's got 500,000 monthly listeners, but nowadays, like, that is still pretty small compared to like the numbers that some of the biggest A-list people are picking up. But I initially saw the video for Unsweetened Lemonade, and if you, like I said, are one of those Swifties who likes having lyrics that you can spit back in the face of people that have offended you, I think that this is a great artist for you. Enemies to lovers, but you'll never own my heart. Oh, come on. Everybody's using that in fanfic now, I'm certain. This is going to be added to a bunch of people's fanfic playlists for their stories. I love her voice so much too. Like, I understand that she's not necessarily as small as some artists on this list, but I really want to see her get bigger because I want to see what else she can do.
I fucked the Reaper cause I knew my time had come. Why can't you see I didn't die at 12? I guess I'm here till 93. I'd do anything for $20. I'd sell my sour soul, cause lemonade is better till you've sweetened up the bowl.
Change My Ways by Mitri. Remember when I said that the common theme of this list was going to be vocalists that have a lot of texture or character to their voice? I really think Mitri does as well. I find most of my country music on TikTok via a creator called Queer BIPOC Honky Tonk. I love country music. I just, hate that particular side of country that can be, yucky. I love that Mitri really has like a kind of like alt-rock country crossover type voice. I think he would have fit in very well in like the 90s. And this song really has a theme that I think a lot of sapphics find relatable, which is that like, I can be a better man for you. Like, kind of the same theme as kind of like Not Strong Enough from Boy Genius follows that theme, but it's written by, queer women. It's just, this is by men.
I need to go on and change my ways. Now your heart is not a joke, it's not my playground. I don't really know what else to say now. All I can do is pray to show you.
Rich by Tedy. If you're on TikTok, you have almost invariably heard this ode to wanting a better life for yourself than just having a job where you work away all day for less money and less appreciation than you're worth. And I think that the attitude that a lot of people have towards work nowadays is completely flawed. Like, hustle culture is not necessarily good for you. And I think that creative work and artistry and things like that is not necessarily seen as work, but this song is really empowering a lot of people to want better things for themselves, to pursue the lives that they wanted instead of going off to a job where they work for someone else for like I said, less appreciation and money than they're worth. And just like from the perspective of somebody who is already in like their middle ages and who's gone through a lot of working too much and working themselves damn near to death for too little money and appreciation, obviously there are, some people that are not going to take this song the right way, but I think if you have the right kind of attitude, this is a fun song.
I don't want to work down, don't want to lift a finger.
For the money, for the money.
everything.
It's not for me, it's not for me.
Alchemical by Rachel Bochner. I admit, I think she's the one on this list that I know the least about. If you want lyricism, and specifically the way sapphic women write about each other lyricism, oh my gosh, this song is great. She's another creator that has just a lyricism that if you are a Swiftie, you're probably going to appreciate and really vibe with. And this is one of those songs where, like, every song I tried to figure out like a 10 to 20 minute clip that really showcased the best, in my opinion, part of that song. It was so hard with the song in particular to find like the right moment. So I hope you will check this out, especially, like I said, if you're into that kind of like sapphic pining, yearning type of well-written lyricism. I love that. I think she also uses very similar themes to Taylor Swift as well. So like I said, if you're a Swiftie, I would definitely recommend checking her out. So Rachel is one of those creators that is still very small, but I think has potential to get bigger. So if you are the type of person that likes to get in on an artist before anybody else that you talk to really knows about them, if you're kind of hipstery about your music, maybe give her a look at.
Won't you come over with your alchemical lips? I am melting into this.
Famous by Accident, Cera Gibson. If you're on TikTok, you've almost invariably seen her face. She is the girl that did the video where she held a ruler up to herself while talking about various sizes of sausage and, you know, like 12 inches too big for sausage, if you catch my drift. And this song is about the experience of going super viral and getting famous by accident. And especially as somebody who, I'm kind of terrified of getting like famous by accident. Don't get me wrong, like I want to be like a YouTuber. I want to have an audience. I want to grow that audience steadily over time so that I can grow with it and I can learn how to wield it responsibly. And I think one of the big things that holds a lot of creators back is the fact that they want to get so big so fast that they don't consider whether or not they're emotionally ready for it. And if you're not emotionally ready for it, in your trauma, you will very often do things reactively that I think that's why we have so many scenarios where a creator will get in a teeny tiny little bit of drama and it'll spiral out of control because they just, I think they get really reactive because they have, you know, some sort of trauma or something like that that everything is touching on. And I think it does help people to get more famous in stages. And it, you know, we've seen Chappell Roan very recently on the stage talking about the impact that getting too famous too quickly had on her. And I definitely think that that is something that, you know, a lot of creators don't think about. A lot of people are just putting TikToks into the void and just seeing what happens and hoping that they'll get mega viral. But admittedly, very often if I have a video get outside of the immediate scope of people that it was intended for, I will make it private or friends only at that point. I just have had way too many instances where people have seen something that they are not intended to see and they make the wrong assumptions about. So yeah, because people have poor media literacy, I'm afraid to go viral, and I really this song vibes with me, and it's a bop too. It's a bop, and it's something that I think a lot of younger people should listen to.
My mama thinks it's just a matter of time. Every day I'm getting bigger. God did not make a quitter. Just wait until you see my shit light.
Orion by daisythedog, aka Frances Whitney. So before she signed with her current label, Frances Whitney used to be on Spotify as daisythedog, so there are going to be a couple of songs by her under daisythedog on this playlist. Orion is a really good example of how like introspective and relatable Frances Whitney's lyrics can be. And what I love about her is there are times when she uses terms that are like not things that I would use, like I'll get the sixer, and I would probably call that a six-pack because I'm a little bit older than she is. And I love that kind of just, I don't know, it just feels more personal. It feels less like, some musicians nowadays, you can really tell that they're trying to make their music apply to a really broad, really large audience. And I really love when smaller artists are willing to kind of put more of themselves in it, more of their own flavor in it. Because the more of yourself you put into something, the more you run the risk of alienating people who are not like you. And there are some artists who are really good at integrating parts of themselves versus parts of things that are very universally relatable really well. I think Taylor Swift is actually a good example of that because, as I've said in videos before, her life is inherently unrelatable unrelatable, yet she still manages to write songs that feel very relatable because she's very good at using that part of herself that's relatable to make the part of herself that is less relatable more understandable to an audience who can't necessarily relate. I don't know if that sentence made sense. I'm a little... If you've been in a friendship or a relationship with somebody who has really serious mental health struggles, I think that this song is going to be one that applies. To me, I interpret it as being a song that is about trying to help somebody, wanting with all your life to be able to help somebody, but it being an internal personal struggle that they have to go through themselves. Like, there are some struggles that no matter how much you love somebody, no matter how much you want to give them handholds and help them along the way, they have to do the work themselves. And unless they come to the point where they're ready to do that, they may never do it. And sometimes one of the best things that you can do is be there for people, but sometimes one of the best things that you can do is leave and make them realize, oh, I actually do have to confront that. Obviously, it depends on the various situations.
And however striking your supernova would make us bloom. Said I love you in every way. Please believe me. I will fly to LA.
Daddy, She and I. This is just a sapphic bop that is fun to scream, sing along to. Being a child of the late 80s, early 90s, I really love artists like Alanis Morissette and Tori Amos and stuff like that, and newer artists that are kind of inspired by their work. I love a song that I can scream, sing along to. That's one of the reasons that I love Chapel Roan so much, and I have a really great playlist, that one, Country Vibes Without the R, that I was talking about earlier, that has a lot of good songs that are either good to scream, sing along to, or good to like really dance clean, hardcore to when you're like pissed.
And after all, she and I, we run the same race. She and I don't reach all. She'll be there next time I need her.
Bunny's a Rider, Caroline Polachek. I'm actually surprised that I had never heard of her before, and I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that I had never heard of her before because she's at 2.1 million monthly listeners. I found out about her because Chapel Roan wore underwear that said Bunny is a Rider on it, and I was like, I feel like I know that, and I guess I've probably heard the phrase before, but I've never heard the song. Somehow this one has escaped me. I'm so glad that I found it though, especially because I really love that it has like Alice in Wonderland references. Love those right now. That's like kind of a vibe for me.
Gonna go ask Alice, trying to catch that rabbit, but I'm so not physical. I do feel like a lady. I do, fireworks blazing. I do.
The Way I Do, Madeleine Kelson. If you are really into that like classic country twangy sound, but you're also like a sapphic, so you want the songs to be girls about girls, oh my gosh, this is the song for you. If I don't get to heaven loving her true, God has never loved a woman the way that I do. So many of us grow up in a homophobic faith structure, but are very, very homo. And I think that this is going to be a song that you really like if you are one of those people and, like I said, are into country twang. Again, another fun song to scream sing along to. I love a good scream sing song. I really want to check out more of Madeleine Kelson's stuff. This is another queer BIPOC honky tonk find.
If I don't get to heaven, loving her true, God has never loved a woman the way I do.
Still Have July, Frances Whitney. This is Frances Whitney's newest song. I have already fell in love with it. It's got a lot of really catchy points and a lot of, again, parts where the character of Frances's voice, especially the introduction, the way she says sharp glass barefoot, like really tickles my brain. The way she says wet hair tangled really tickles my brain. I really love those parts of the song. And she's just a very good lyricist. I feel like when somebody is a really good lyricist and they can really put twang on words, that it can really emphasize. It's like the girls with their hands talking about the Taylor Swift songs that are emphasizing specific words that are more important, so you maybe notice themes and things that you didn't notice before. When you have a certain twang that you can put on certain words, it makes you interpret things like, and it makes you interpret things in a different way than you might if you're singing them all in a similar, the same inflection.
Try hard, play coy, Laurel Canyon fanboy. You're not sly, but you're not mine. We're choking on goodbye. Oh, I miss every word that leaves your lips.
Pink like Suki, Pebbles&TamTam. This is another one of those where if you're on a certain side of TikTok, you've invariably heard this song already. I don't know much about them. I just know that I'm hooked on this. The beginning, the intro, it hits. I do worry that they could have made more of the initial success of the song, but it was one of those situations that a lot of songwriters struggle with, where they make a song, they post it on TikTok, figuring that it's going to get 200 views the way most of their content does, and then it goes mega viral, and they can't yet put the song up yet because it's got a sample that needs to clear, or a feature, or whatever it is that needs to clear. It's usually paperwork in the background for agreements that need to be shaken hands on that prevent those songs from coming out immediately, and then those songs can't capitalize on their success as much as they could. This is the first song like that on this playlist.
Like Suki in my brand new Suzuki, windows tinted, rims are spinning with the Hello Kitty sticky. If you see me, I'm assuming that it's only in my rearview. You can call me, but I promise that there's no way I'ma hear you.
The girl so confusion versing with Lorde. I've tried to get into Charlixcx's music before. Some of her songs hit with me, some of her songs don't. Out of her most recent album, this is the one that really hit for me, and this is the only way I will accept people like summing up beef nowadays. If you want to have like beef with somebody, or you want to like say you don't have beef with somebody even though there's been a rumor that you have, you need to be a feature on their song, on their album. Hollow by Daisy the Dog, aka Frances Whitney. This song sticks in my brain so much because of the lyric, "For an anxious girl, you've sure got a lot of nerve." The lyrics of this are amazing, and Frances' simple production really allows both her voice and the lyrics to shine. I do get it. I understand maximalism. I really do love songs that have a lot of like really overblown production, but sometimes I really love a good song that's just a voice and an instrument, or even just a voice. For an anxious girl, you've sure got a lot of nerve. Like, it just hits. It hits so good, especially for somebody who can relate.
Knees still fresh with blood. Hydrogen peroxide. Clean me up. Where'd she go?
Us, featuring Taylor Swift. I'm not going to include a clip of this one because larger artists are very prone to claim things. Obviously, Gracie Abrams had an album come out, Taylor Swift had a track on it, and I listened to the entire album. I thought it was a pretty good album. There were two tracks that really stuck out to me good. Obviously, this one did, especially because it picks up on a lot of themes of Taylor's other songs, and I get the vibe by the way that they were writing in the song that Taylor did have a fair bit of creative inspiration to it. While I wouldn't put it in like my top 10 Taylor Swift songs, it was a really good collaboration, and I love seeing like my favies working together. I will never hate on that. The bottom two, older sibling, JOBIE, Mace. This is the second example of somebody who went mega viral, something on TikTok that they couldn't necessarily put out right away. I don't know if it was because of the back end stuff, or if they needed to go and do an official recording, or what the jazz was. This is obviously a cover of the other version of the bottom that went mega viral, but it took like a month for them to get it up on Spotify. And one of the reasons I'm putting this in this video is because I'm sure that somebody heard it like a month ago and was like, God, I wish that was on Spotify. The way, the harmonies, oh, it just hits. The harmonies on this it hits so good.
You know the crab like money, know the sponge like fun, know the star keeps shining, know the squid likes guns. What we all got in common when this shit's said and done is a dead fucking roach and a city that we run.
I Choose Violence by Jax. I almost didn't include this song on this list because I know it's going to be polarizing, because Jax is a little polarizing right now. Jax made a song, the Neuro Spicy song. I admit, I listened to it once. It wasn't my thing, and then I forgot about it. But I understand why people are mad about it. I understand why a lot of people think that it minimizes autism, especially if you're somebody whose neurodivergence impacts your life more than just a little bit of spiciness. It comes off tone deaf to some people, and I understand that. However, I have very specific things that happened to me in my childhood that are addressed in this song that I'm not going to discuss too much in this video or else nobody will see it. And this video is about that. This video is about being preyed upon when you are very young and the ways that you choose to cope about that. Whilst there are an okay number of songs about it, there are not nearly enough songs and songs that are specific enough to my emotions for me to catharsis the way out about it. And if that doesn't make sense to you, I'm probably going to do a video one of these days about people that use music as an emotional outlet for emotions, especially childhood traumas, compartmentalized from their childhood, because I think that'll help a lot of people understand one another better. But basically, this song really relates very specifically to things that happened to me when I was a child, and it lets me get my pain out, and because of that, I enjoy it. I do understand people who may not want to support her as a creator because they feel that she's tone deaf. I don't necessarily know if I will go that far, especially considering I think I would need to stream this millions of times in order for her to get an appreciable amount of money out of her support. I just don't see this video going viral enough to even help her out financially, so I'm not really that mad about it. But I do know that several people that watch my channel use music the same way I do and have similar pains to me, and because of that, I want to make this song available to them, and that is the reason that I kept it on the playlist.
But I choose violence, I choose war, for all the little girls that should be warned.
Free Now by Gracie Abrams. Again, I'm not going to use a clip because it's so big. I'm sure this video is going to get claimed anyway, even with the smaller artists that I've used. There are not nearly enough songs that are about leaving a relationship because you are healing and the person that you're with is not. And I know that a lot of people feel this compulsion to want to stick around, want to help their partner, but a lot of times you really have to weigh that against your own growth, your own development. So long as that person is not developing, if they're refusing to develop, they are very often doing things in their insecurity, in their lack of development, that are holding you back. You know, they're not letting you go out and have friends. They're not letting you go out and take classes. They're not letting you go have a hobby out of your own. And because of that, I do think that it's really important that we talk more about the fact that there is a sort of emotional and there's a relationship like entrapment that comes from these from people that are not ready to grow up and very often are never ready to grow up. Because I'll be honest, I'm 40. There are people that I dated when I was in my teens and in my 20s who are still at the exact same emotional level that they were when I dated them. And I am so glad that I didn't get into a marriage or something like that with any of them. I see now the way that has hurt so many people in my life. Like, so many of the friends that I know are people that have been hurt in relationships. A lot of us grew up with this impression that if you're not physically getting hit, that it's not bad and that you should try and fix it. But that leads a lot of women to fall for this emotional sabotage where they have a significant other that has no intention on growing and is going to keep you emotionally in a state where you're still very underdeveloped for most of your life. I rambled on way too much about a lot of these songs. If this video does well, I'll do a little thing every month. I do think I'm probably going to do more videos about Frances Whitney. And if you are a Swiftie, I am all about doing theory crafting that is either muse-free or is Taylor Swift as her own muse focused. I focus on a lot of literary themes, film references, things like that. I don't really care about the relationships that much. I am a very small creator. I still am under 2,000 subscribers as I am recording this. So if you like this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, especially if you want to see more months of my playlists. I don't know how popular this is going to actually be, but we'll see.